Hey guys, I'm Matt the Woodshed Barber, and today we're looking at the Instinct Shaver and the Metal Instinct Trimmer. So guys, a big shout out to Concise the Barber. We did a little exchange. I sent him a few tools to review. If you haven't seen that, check that out. And he sent me a couple for me to review. And it's the Instinct Shaver and Metal Instinct Trimmer. And I will say I'm impressed with both. There's some things I would prefer differently, and I'll get into that, what I would prefer over these, but they're very good tools. And guys, this is, like I've said before, this is just the world we're living in right now in barbering. It's hard to find truly terrible tools in our world right now. That's a nice perk. And so a lot of this is based off preferences, off of cutting styles. We'll get into that. So guys, I hope you enjoy this review. We're gonna go ahead and tackle this. Let's start off with the power.
Pop the hood. 2JZ engine, no shit.
The Metal Instinct Trimmer. Now, it has 4 hours of battery life and a charging dock. Premium tools should have a charging dock. If, you want to go to war with me on that, fine, go ahead. I just believe that they should. If you're paying over, and I agree with Concise on this, if you are paying over $200 for a tool, charging dock should be included. It just should be. But 4 hours of runtime on the trimmer. So if you don't know anything about Instinct tools from Stylecraft, let me just break it down for you like this. It has intuitive torque control. Now that means once it hits resistance, it revs up in RPMs to match that resistance. So now that's a very cool feature. Have I ever seen it have to be used? Well, for the first time, yes. And that's where this trimmer comes in. I've never seen it needed on a clipper. I've not run into hair that dense, and I've run into some dense hair. I think that sometimes with the clipper, that's kind of just an overboard perk. But with the trimmer, especially balding out, I've seen this thing ramp up a little bit. It's not much. It's not that, but it revs up. And so it's a pretty cool feature. Now this right here has a cruising speed of 9,500 RPMs, which, I mean, the sweet spot for trimmers, in my opinion, is anything at least 7,000 RPMs. That and above, you've got the power to do what you need to do. Is it getting close to overkill? I do enjoy the Evo. It has a cruising speed of 10,000 RPMs. Was it needed? No. They could have easily went with 8,000 or 7,000 RPMs on that trimmer and gotten just as good a performance, if maybe not better, because you have to think, if the blade is going too fast, it may be going too fast to grab the hair that's going into the teeth of that trimmer. And so I think the sweet spot is that 7,000 to 8,500 RPMs. But this thing, having one of the best blades on the market, and we'll get into that in a minute, it's a powerhouse. So 4 hours of runtime, 9,500 RPMs, intuitive torque control. I mean, power-wise, this thing is a 10 out of 10, no doubt. Now the shaver, same kind of motor, intuitive torque control. It has a cruising speed, and this is crazy, 11,500 RPMs. Now, I have heard, because something about trimming, balding out with your trimmer and shaving, I've heard the motor rev. Very slightly, but I've heard it. Now, you can't test it, and I can't show you on a foil. It just is what it is. But it's a little loud, but that aside, 2.5 hours of runtime. Now, with shavers, you're not going to lose a whole lot off that. That's not a big deal. It does have USB Type-C. Only on the shaver, though. On the trimmer, you're looking at, micro USB. That's kind of a miss for me. They should have went USB Type-C. But I love seeing USB Type-C on my shavers. I think that, that's one of the best things that Babyliss did with the UV shavers, is I can easily just plug those up to that. Don't have to worry about a charging dock. Just plug it up, let it go. It does have a charging dock. Shavers, I don't know if charging docks are necessary for shavers. Please feel free to chime in on this, guys. Shavers, you don't eat away at the battery near as much or near as often as you do with a trimmer or a clipper. So I just don't know if that's necessary, but it's a nice perk. And Stylecraft, I salute you for that. I wish that more companies did include charging docks for their shavers, just as an option. Me, I don't really use them as much, but it's nice to have that option. As far as what this thing will do, it will mow through some hair. I mean, it plows through it. I was a little let down. So bear with me, I'm not saying it stinks, but with what my expectations were was that because of this motor, as soon as this foil would touch hair, it would just disappear. That's not exactly how it worked. I think that this right here is on par or equal with the Babyliss UV double foil. It's right there. Is it aggressive? Yes, just like the UV double foil. I do prefer the Andis Resurge over both of those for how smooth the shave is, how sensitive the shave is. This thing is aggressive. So, if you're after that, that bite, this is it. So, power on this, I would say 9 out of 10. It could have been 10 out of 10 if it met my expectations.
You're in dire need of an upgrade. Systemic, top to bottom.
Let's go ahead and just knock this out of the way. A shaver's a shaver. Did I need the little window to show the motor? No, but it's cool. Design, it's simple. It doesn't shock me in any way. So it being subpar, but not being below that, I'm going to give it a 7 on design. Now let's get to the trimmer. And this is the first Instinct trimmer I've ever reviewed. I've used an Instinct trimmer before, but as far as actually reviewing one, I don't know what it is about this fatter area up here. Even though it's more square and not as comfortable, I do prefer the Stylecraft Saber body to be better. The Cyborg body to be better. This is just, everything except for this little fat area there. That doesn't feel necessary. And if it took that to fit the motor in, could they not have made a smaller version of this motor? Just brainstorming here. Everything else about it I like. They went a little different with this one. I like the white and gold lid. They have the black kind of see-through lid, and then they have the pink lid. And I like them shaking it up a little bit, not being the same ones that they always do. But design, it's almost there. It's almost there, but there's something about this I don't like. From the side, I like the way it feels from the side, but then right here, it's pushing my finger out. So it's not as uncomfortable when it comes to punching in a line. But whenever it comes to just holding it almost like I would a clipper, it makes me think it's a clipper just because of how wide that top section is. It's me being a stickler, but that's what I do with this. So on design on this, I'm going to say 8 out of 10. It could have been better, but it is a pretty stinking killer design. Blade. Now, hypoallergenic gold UV foil, not UV foils, my bad. Hypoallergenic gold foils on this. There's not much to talk about. The blade. Now, there is a close race happening right now between the X Pro Stylecraft blade and the Black Label Andis blade. This is a very, very smooth blade, and to me, this was the GOAT until Andis came out with that black blade. I'm telling you, guys, honestly, in my head, almost the perfect trimmer is if they could take that Andis blade and put it on either the Saber or the Cyborg. That's the perfect trimmer. I do love this trimmer a lot. However, there are times where randomly you'll feel how sharp it is. And the reason I bring that up is that with that new Andis blade, you never feel how sharp it is. However, it leaves super crisp lines. It mows through hair. And this one does the same thing too. It's so close. Okay, I'm going to offend some people with this. It's fine. It is what it is. We're not talking the Andis blade being Michael Jordan and this right here being LeBron. Maybe we are, because it is very polarizing. We are talking the Andis blade being Jordan and this right here being like Kobe. They're so similar. They're so very similar. And it's just that little bit of extra greatness, well, in Jordan's case, a lot of extra greatness, that makes them stand out more. Now, to me, the people who think the Babyliss FX blade is the GOAT blade, those are the LeBrons. Sorry, I digress. So I'm going to say for the blade, once again, 9.9. God, it's so close. 9.9. And that black blade from Andis, that thing's a 10.
Because the way that my bank account is set up, the thing is, I got a checking in the savings, but all my money is in the savings. I don't think my card is going to go through.
So the price. Oh, man. $230 for the trimmer. That puts it in the top prices of trimmers that you'll encounter. Is it worth it? In my opinion, no. We're eventually going to lose control of this if we don't dial it back. If we don't dial it back, it's just going to become this whole big thing. I don't know. $230 for this trimmer is pretty crazy. For the shaver, $200 for the shaver. Which, I mean, look, I know that people have paid $300 something, $400 something for shavers. You know, the Bronze Series 9, I can't remember what that was whenever that was the big deal. But the UV double foil from Babyliss is probably as much shaver as you will ever need. And it's $150. Is this thing $50 more innovative than that? No. This, I'm going to say, is a 3 out of 10 for price. Now, for the trimmer, look, there's going to be times that you find trimmers that are worth $230. Do I think the Sabre is? Yes. I do think the Sabre is a trimmer I would pay that for. The Cyborg, $200. I mean, it's both of those are like $200 trimmers. The extra $30, give me something besides lids. What I would have preferred that they would have done, and to me this would have been making it worth the price, is don't just include this blade. Yeah, give the lid options, whatever, but also include the precision blade. If it would have came with both blades, yes, $230 worth it. But since it didn't, I'm going to say a 6 out of 10 on the price. Is it a buy? Yes, it's a good cop. If you want it, get it. But you don't have to pay that for a trimmer this good. You can go out, you can buy the Sabre, you can buy the Cyborg, you can buy the Andis GTX, much better blade. Yeah. If I would have loved the casing more, probably it would be worth the price for me. But between that and not having a secondary blade for that kind of price, I just don't think it's worth that price. So I'm going to say 6 out of 10.
They've done studies, 60% of the time it works every time.
Overall performance, all the way through. Is it a great trimmer? Yes, it's a great trimmer. It's in the top echelon of trimmers. It's kind of like, now are you a Stylecraft guy? Just the same way I feel about Babyliss with charging $260 to get into their FX, clippers. Are you a Babyliss guy? If so, yes, it's worth it. Not worth it. Great tool, not worth it. The performance of this trimmer is pretty fantastic. The blade is dialed in, concise, had this dialed in. You have to touch a thing, just pop, done. I'm very impressed with what they did, but the blade is what makes it great. So to me, this blade, shoot, you can put this blade on the Evo. I might put this blade on the Evo. I've got the precision blade on there right now. I might do that. Anyway, sorry, side quest.
They said I had A, D, something. Can we have class outside?
It's It's a great tool. I'm not trying to knock it. If you love Stylecraft, if you like what this is, you like the X Pro blade, get it. It's a good tool. So that's why I'll leave you on that. Overall on these tools, I'm going to say trimmer, worth it if you want to pay that much for it. Shaver, you don't have to have it. Well, guys, anyway, it's good to be back on here. I'm kind of getting in the hang of things again. It's been a while, but I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for the kind responses about my situation with my mother. Please click that like button, subscribe, comment down below. Let's keep those comments humble and kind. And as always, I'll check you guys on the next one.